repetition in the Let's Play. These are just different. They might as well be called anything. What matters is that for some merchants, they value each of them differently. So it's possible to buy from one merchant and sell to the other to make a profit. Now, also that's affected by the rate at the top right of the screen, and the higher the rate, the more goods are going to cost to buy and the more you get for selling them. So buy low, sell high. Pretty straightforward. War. This is where you attack, recruit troops from your home base, although I usually get them from mercenaries. This is how you train your troops. And this is just moving troops and gold from your own. And you can also disband them here. And then info lets you view stuff on your own state. View a list of your territories. View a list of your generals. I forget what this one is. View merchants. Yeah, you can view the merchants and where they are. Over time, the merchants are in more and more of the territories until it's like not hard to find merchants at all. And finally, the units of the game. Now, here we are. The top one, you see the ratings. Mobility is just how much they can move in battle. That only really matters when you're fighting the battles yourself and not just viewing the wars. So that actually doesn't come into play in this Let's Play because I don't fight battles. Fortunately, not even once, which is amazing. Usually I have to do it at least once to cover my butt when something goes wrong. Anyway, the top value, the B value, is their hand-to-hand. The next one, I think, is their... I don't know. Yeah. The first one's hand-to-hand. The second one is charging, the one that has a D rating in. The third one is their ranged attack, and obviously on light infantry they don't have a ranged attack, so it's just null there. And then finally is their defense. Or actually, I'm not sure. Let me make sure on that. Yeah, the last one's their defense. So, hand-to-hand top, second one is charging, third one's range, and last one's defense. So, light infantry, as you can see, not too impressive. They all have 200 hit points to represent their troop count, by the way. So, heavy infantry, a little bit better, but I mean, they cost slightly more and they just have better defense. They'll fight slightly better. Pikes are actually a little bit more impressive, but they're slow. But they stand up to both charging and to hand-to-hand a little bit better. I'm not sure what Spirit really does, but some of these troops are worse. Artillery looks like cannons to me, but whatever. They're not good at all. They'll cause confusion if you hit with a ranged attack. But for these ranged guys that have a ranged attack like that, it's you can have anywhere from like 1 to 9 shots in a given battle, and that's dependent on your arms rating. If you have 100 arms, you'll get 9 shots. And arms also affects, well, I actually say it in the Let's Play, but arms affects your, not just that, but also how effectively they fight anyway. But I don't use cannons pretty much ever, and all of the stuff on GameFAQs says not to use them too. I've tried to use them, and I agree with the people on GameFAQs. They're just bad units. Unless you're going to fight individual battles and abuse the fact that the AI will not come out of its castle if you're attacking the final stack in a castle, and just sit there waiting each battle to fire your 9 shots and then just wait for the next battle. That's the only way you could use them, but you could just use archers for that too. So I don't know. Next up we have short bows. Just okay range attack, terrible stats otherwise. Longbow, better range attack, still terrible stats otherwise. Same thing with crossbow, so really it's a wash here. But yeah, which of these you can use is dependent on region, but just use whatever if you're going to go for the ground attacks. Elephants, yeah, good statistically but slow. And also you can only get them in India. Catapults are very much like cannons, horrible spirit rating, and very easy to cut down, but they're decent at range. I still wouldn't recommend them. And never use like catapults or artillery for simulated battles, because they're just not as effective as training melee and using that instead. Now we get to the more useful units in the game. If you want a quality unit for the number of units you can invade with, which is 20 max, and also to defend 20 max, you probably want a mounted unit, starting with nomads. They're pretty average across the board, but that allows you to take advantage of something where the enemy is weak. So like knights might be better on defense against them, and knights are better with charging. But nomads are just as good melee, and they can shoot them. So they're versatile, and they're the cheapest of the troops here, so that can help. Lancers, they don't have a range attack, but they're pretty effective fighters. They're you're pretty much your only bet in China and the steppes where you don't have Mongols available. Mongols, best unit in the game. Look at that mobility. I don't know what the Spirit does, but they have more of it. And yeah, there's just be everywhere. They can do anything, and they can do anything pretty well, including ranged attacks. So it can really put a hurting on people, and it's a pain to fight them with inferior troops, unless you get ambushes. Next up, archers. Horse archers. One of my favorite units in Civilization. They're just okay in this game. They're Middle Eastern troops. If you're there, you should pick between them and Mamelukes. I would prefer these guys. Even though they don't have a range attack, if you're simming battles, they can just crush things. It's impressive. So yeah. And the knights are expensive. They are like as much as Mongols, but statistically not so good because they're lower mobility and not so good hand-to-hand attack. So if you're fighting with them and you're not simming battles, you really have to be careful how you use them. They can still be alright. If you abuse their defense and charging, you can make do with them. And if you're in Europe and you don't have like mercenaries from the Middle East or something, you don't have a choice. These are your best guys, so you're going to use them. But they're not bad, and in simmed battles, they can hold up pretty well against pretty much everything else. So yeah. And finally, samurai, best hand-to-hand in the game, very average otherwise. If you're fighting them, try to avoid hand-to-hand with them, charge them, hit them with range or whatever. And obviously, if you're using them, if you have a range attack, you might as well use it because enemy can't retaliate while you're using ranged. But otherwise, definitely just go for the basic melee attack with samurai. So that's all the troop types. Now, here we have... That's pretty much everything you could do in this screen. I show like what my strategies are in the Let's Play, and there's different ways you can play the game, but that stuff I'll let you guys try out. I just wanted to let you know what's going on when I'm looking at all this stuff. So now, the only other thing that I can really go through is war. And if you attack, invade with state, you can choose not to command the army yourself, and then it just simulates the battle. But that's no good. I'm going to go in. Take all my gold and food. You don't need gold on the battlefield, but you might need it to launch your next attack. Once you've conquered a territory, the gold you took stays with you. So that might be necessary for continuing your campaign. Food is necessary in the battle. If you run out of it, you start having people deserting the army, and that can cause you to lose.